What an entrance. This plant needs to enter with like force, power, and beauty. I am gonna talk to you about rose. Obviously, that is always difficult to show. Ah, goodness me, isn't she gorgeous? I mean, you can't even smell it. I'm gonna collect them. Okay, I did a little mess over here. But yeah, bear with me. Rose. Such a gorgeous plant and such an interesting plant as well, because up until a year ago, I couldn't stand her. Maybe 2 years ago. For me, it was this embodiment and this image of what people perceive that is love. And I found it so cheesy that I was like, I cannot resonate with this plant until I started connecting with its true spirit and true form, not the distorted one, because most roses that we buy and especially gift each other on Valentine's Day or for romantic love stories, they're fake. They're like overbred versions of rose that has nothing to do with the soft, fragile, powerful plant that there is. So there is such a difference for me. At the moment, it's spring here, or getting towards summer in Switzerland. And when I walk through the streets, there is roses growing everywhere. And those are the wild roses. If you stop and smell them, they smell divine. They're fragile. Like the leaves, they oh, just so juicy. The leaves, um, like the flower petals, I mean. And it's still super fragile. Like I can't just bang with it everywhere. The petals will drop. It's this thing as well, like this flower embodies so many different aspects and teaches us so many different things. And you see it as well. Like I'm wearing rose, obviously, to talk about rose. So many different aspects as well, brings it all together into this message. So I'm going to talk a lot about these different aspects of the rose, what she's here to teach us, and what we can learn from her as humans. This is again like I love these plants that are so innocent and actually bring us the biggest teachings ever. Because again, for us as a human species, we are missing our true connection to our heart. We are often very detached because the heart is not something that is deemed necessary. We're very much in the mind and then in the body of more like the trained, physical, strong body, but we're not in this soft, connected heart space. And this is especially like the divine heart, the divine wisdom of the heart, and not this sappy little, oh, he didn't text me back, or she didn't, da 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 da. This is not our true form of our heart. So Rose helps us to connect to this divine understanding of love. And I don't think there is many people living on this planet right now who actually truly have an understanding of what divine love means, including I don't yet fully have. I think, let's say, parts of me understands it without words. My body doesn't fully feel it yet because there is no expression of this in this world. I know that my being knows about it from previous lives, from other dimensions where I've lived in, and it is feels very detached of what we're having here in this world, feels very detached from what is actually possible and the truth and the full capacity of yeah, what we could access. And I think that is really sad. Is that is definitely something that we crave, and that's why I think working with the rose in this way is so powerful, because it can help us take steps towards it. And me saying working with it, it always says that, oh my goodness, we're working already so much, there's something else that I need to work on. No, it's not in that sense. Working means we're drinking rose tea, we're having rose around ourselves, we're gifting ourselves rose at the moment. Everywhere I go and I'm invited, I always pick a rose on the side of the street and bring it to this person, and you should see the smile on their faces. So working with the rose for me means connecting with her in that way. I also like using rose water daily, put it somewhere on my body. So it's this other form. Obviously, buying rose oil is very expensive, but I have gifted myself like, I don't know, I think it was 5 milliliters and it cost like 80 euros. But opening up this bottle, it's just like you don't even have to put a drop on your body. It just is enough smelling it from the bottle directly. So yeah, if we're talking about this sense, again, when we observe a rose, what is it that we can learn? We can first of all see that there is quite a difference between the soft flower petals and the stem of the rose. The stem of the rose is super strong and it has thorns on it. So it is also quite protective. And I can't just, like, even when I pick a rose, I have to be very cautious. And it's also not that easy to break it, even though sometimes the stem is just like a little bit thicker, obviously, than this. I love that there is a hair here as well. No, it's not about the hair, it's about the stem. It's not much thicker than this here, huh? So this is really hard to remove it because the rose is quite strong, the stem. But then the flower petal are so fragile and soft, and it really feels like the softest sheet of whatever's. And the fragrancy is in. So it combines the flower or this plant combines the different aspects. It definitely combines within us as well, like the dualities of masculine and feminine, of these two forces, which are just forces of the universe. You can use whatever word you want, but it embodies both of that. So it also helps us to access these two polarities, these two parts within ourselves, and combines it in this gorgeous, beautiful way. It also helps us to drop more into our softness, into our trust, into our divine heart through giving us this stability. It is this thing of like, we can't just open our heart up in this world without also having protection and an armor. But this armor doesn't have to be, I'm attacking this person. This armor is more like, I'm only allowing those in that meet me in the same frequency I am in. So the rose helps us with that as well. Like it points out thorns of protection towards what doesn't serve us, which is super important because in that, if we are like, whoof, here more with an armor of like gorgeousness, not an armor of like metal, then we are also able to open up our heart more and drop more into the softness because I wish we wouldn't live in a world where that is necessary. I wish we could just open our heart up and drop into this soft, sensual being all the time, but it's not. Truly, it's not a safe place to do that. So therefore, it is important to have these two forces combined. We have our strong we're again connected to the earth. We are erect in our being, and we can open up this softness and this heart. It's interesting. I talk about that, and I smell really strongly rose in my nose, even though that that rose that I'm smelling right now is definitely not in this room, which means we're talking about something that is important. So different forms and ways you can work with her is to just pick the rose and put it in your room. Drink rose tea. You can buy some if you make sure that it is organic because you don't want to have any pesticides on it. You can buy rose water like I did. You can also make your own rose water, or you can also work with the rose spagyric, which I have. By the way, if you ever are in search and in need of like high quality plant products, contact me. I have done a lot of research, and I also do sell a few things that of like companies and organizations that I can stand behind. So please reach out and I'm super happy to support you in that. So these are different ways we can work with. We can also just dress how the rose wants to dress. And this is actually a little secret that I'm sharing here. All of these different plant videos I did, I let myself be inspired by the plant on what I wear. Just a tiny bit. And you can definitely go back now and have a look that I think also my skin will glow differently. My hair looks different because the different plants, if we're going into their energy, they also are changing something. If I watched a video on Blue Lotus, I look very etheric, whereas with cacao, I look soft royal, and with the rose I feel I'm soft but I have strength underneath it. You can see a little bit of blackish pointing through, but there's strength here. So there's softness and there is strength. So this is also super interesting. Like we can embody the plant spirit. We can work with her in this way. And also I'm a massive fan of doing plant ceremonies. Like I do rose and blue lotus ceremonies, which is a lot about dropping into the sensuality and into our body and like becoming more like fluidity, which is gorgeous. And a rose in general is a plant that always supports another plant. That's how I feel it. And also that's why she's with any ceremony I do, any workshop I do, plants is rose is usually there because it just supports. And I think that is a gorgeous one. She's here to support us in our processes, no matter what they are, because it always helps us to bring us to the wisdom of the heart. And the wisdom of the heart is like such a epicenter of gorgeousness that we often forget. We're so much in the mind or and like sometimes in the body, but the heart has a wisdom portal to itself that it's so important to drop into. And that's why solemnly the smell of rose can remind us of that, even though if our mind might not know it, our body knows, and that's where the importance lies. I think I'll keep that short for today. It feels like the most important things have said. Go out there, observe the rose, smell it, connect to the true rose, have an understanding what the different forms are and what it does to you and it wants to teach you. And I think most likely there will be more talking about rose, I assume. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. Obviously, follow for more because there's going to be more plants. I think I'm going to have like a little line of plant messages here on YouTube because it makes so much fun to just not just talk about it, but to actually show you in a little bit of a form what it does. So anyway, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. If you have, yeah, and comment here what did you learn about the rose that you might have not known before. Super interested to read, and have a gorgeous day.